Foot.
Yeah, man.
Me not chest high.
Feeling.
Feeling
light.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reefer Reporters. We are live here from the Legacy420.com news desk. Yeah, we are live because I started the opening and my mic was still muted. So you know we're live. That's why there was a bit of a gap there. Sorry about that. Today's Thursday edition of the Reefer Reporters for Thursday, October the 1st in 2020. We're strumming right along here into fall. And of course, I'm joined as always by my lovely joint host, GreenIrene Canatalk. How's it going today?
Good morning, Kim. Oh, good morning, listeners. It's going fantastic. Beautiful start to the fall. The colors are changing. The weather is still quite hospitable, you know?
Yeah, we had a bit of an Indian summer there, right?
Yes, I think it's just beautiful here right now. Just gorgeous.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Awesome sauce. Yeah, nice weather going on, lots of fall leaves changing, and a lot of people enjoying this time of the year. Fall people out there really like this time of the year. Me, not so much.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a huge fan of the dampness and that sort of thing, but I was kind of pre-planning and prepared for it this year. So even though it was still quite nice out, I had already started to layer up, put that second layer of socks on, get ready with that second layer of sweaters, and, just start layering now so that I can get out and enjoy some of these fall colors. They're just beautiful when you see a combination of the soft and hardwood starting to change, right?
Absolutely. It is a gorgeous scene out there. I have issues at this time of the year with a lot of migraines, and my pain levels really increase with the dampness. The hotter weather is better for me, and I get a little bit better again once we get into the heavier winter when the water and the moisture in the air freezes. Then I get some relief.
I hear you. You and I should be heading for Cuba in about a week. Want to go?
I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with you. I am
Boys,
with
we'll be
you.
back.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. But knowing Al, we'll have to take our equipment with us and broadcast from there. So
That's okay. That's good. I can do that.
I can do that too. I'm on board. But while we're here in Canada, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Canadian cannabis news. We're going to start off with Marijuana Business Daily. Aurora is back making headlines. Aurora Cannabis billionaire employee Nelson Perez says they have concluded their relationship.
Yeah. Nelson Peltz, he ended up going in with this company. So he announced his resignation on Monday, along with information about the company's annual general meeting that's scheduled for November 12th. Peltz had signed on as a strategic advisor in March of last year to help Aurora lock in partnerships and expand internationally. So this was a move that was heralded at the time. There was also a major vote of confidence for the Canadian company.
Yeah, we covered that story when they hired him and they brought him on. We covered that, and Aurora was quite excited.
Right?
They were like, oh, this guy's a billionaire businessman. He knows his shit. So he's going to pull us out of the fire.
Yeah, well, guess what? That didn't exactly happen, did it?
No.
Aurora lost more than $3.5 billion since Peltz served as an advisor. Peltz co-founded a New York-based multi-billion-dollar asset management firm named Train Fund Management, and he's also the director of the fast food holding firm Wendy's Company and Procter & Gamble.
Wow. So, I mean, he's a big boy for sure if he's got Wendy's and Procter & Gamble under his belt. Those are two huge corporations.
Yeah, he is a definite strategist, financial strategist. And Aurora brought him in after the Canadian competitors Canopy Growth and Kronos As soon as they locked up their multi-billion-dollar investment with Constellation Brands and Altria, the liquor giants, right?
Yep.
So when all that arrangement went down, that's when Aurora said, "Ooh, we need a heavy hitter too, Mr. Peltz. What are you up to?" And so he joined Aurora. The company agreed to grant him options to purchase almost 20 million shares in the business at $10.34 a piece, which is pretty huge and pretty big, except the stock price since then has fallen approximately 96%.
96%. That is a huge number. The Edmonton, Alberta company acknowledged that Peltz's departure in an email to MJ Biz saying, Aurora confirms the company and Nelson Peltz have concluded their relationship. This change is a direct result of Mr. Peltz's decision to pursue other commitments, and the company appreciates his valuable contributions. Unquote.
Yep.
What do you say to that, right? What do you say to that? Yeah, we appreciate your contributions for decreasing our stock value by 96%.
Oh, but it wasn't him. No, it wasn't him. You know what? If anything, I would see Peltz going, holy shit, thank God I didn't lose my shirt because I just about lost everything else. There was a lot of money that he lost in this investment. It was a bad investment on his part.
Yeah. He
and
didn't
he's
call
probably
this one right.
What's that?
He didn't call this one correctly.
No. And run while you still have legs to stand on,
Yeah. And we're seeing this across the board in the Canadian cannabis industry. Aurora is not the only one. They're falling like dominoes. They're just tumbling one after another. It's been loss after loss across the board. Comparatively to other countries, including the United States, which doesn't even have legalization on a federal level, other countries are doing far better than we are.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, from a national front, we're going to go to the provincial front. And once again, back to Marijuana Business Daily for our second story. This one is here in Ontario. Ontario cuts into cannabis store shortages by doubling authorizations.
Yeah, I had to read this and do a double take and go, oh, for Christ's sakes. Okay, so Ontario's cannabis store regulator, the OCS, has started issuing 10 retail store authorizations per week. Now, that's double the previous pace that they were at. Okay. The Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario said in a notice on its website that as of September 28th, it will move from issuing 5 to 10 RSAs each week. Now, this move will help alleviate the province's shortage of legal marijuana. Why the fuck are we still using the word marijuana in Canadian authorship of cannabis?
I understand, yeah. But the remainder of that, but it will be years before Ontario catches up to other provinces. Now, I'm going to kind of halt this right here and throw some input in here. We've covered the Ontario scene extensely because, of course, we are based in Ontario. So this is of personal interest to all of us here. Now, they can issue these licenses till the cows come home. They could increase that to 100 a day. That doesn't reflect on store openings. People have received their license and from these guys, and then they're waiting a year before the inspections take place and they can actually open the doors.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just a lot of fluff that they're throwing at the people to say, oh, look, we're doing something. No, you're not.
Yeah, last month we covered that story on the young entrepreneur female entrepreneur that had wanted aspirations to open up a store. And she went through all of
Exactly.
the regulatory processes. She sold her house. She cashed in her RSPs. She borrowed money from family and friends. She's literally living on pennies to keep this operation going because she has to pay rent, have the utilities on and the lights going, have everything ready to go to receive stock. And it's been a year that she's been paying all of these costs and the doors still aren't open. So this
Because she's
license
not
doesn't do
licensed to
shit.
generate an income yet.
That's
Yeah,
it. So this
exactly.
license they're giving you to get the storefront, that don't mean shit. We need inspectors to say, yeah, okay, you can open.
Exactly. Because you know what the numbers work out to here in Ontario? Approximately 1.19. So less than 1.25 stores per 100,000 people. That's the second lowest in the country. Comparatively, Alberta is so they're about 1/3 the size of Ontario, but they have 11.5 licenses per 100,000 people.
Right, exactly. Alberta, I mean, still mind blowing. 2.5 years later, here we are in Alberta, boosting up Alberta for their cannabis policies and their cannabis rollouts, while Ontario is still promising to further increase its authorizations this fall to 40 stores per month. At the increased rate, it would take Ontario more than 3 years to catch up to Alberta's current 100,000 cannabis store figure.
Right? Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Ontario, you really dropped the ball. Yep.
Big time. Big time. Canada's largest populated province. And where are we? We're in last place here.
Yeah.
We're in last place.
Yeah, pitiful.
Mind-blowing.
Pitiful.
Mind-blowing for sure. Well, now we're going to head into some regional news here in Ontario. We're going to start off in your neck of the woods there, Irene, and talk a little bit
a couple
about
blocks
this.
away from home sort of thing.
Yeah, very today.
Unfortunately. Yeah, well, this is actually Highway 12 right here in Midland. On September 27th, the OPP showed up and responded to the industrial building that's located on Highway 12, as I said. So here, let's get to
Well, we should start off with the headline. BerryToday.com is bringing us this story, and the headline reads, police find 10,000 cannabis plants in a vacant Midland factory.
Now, no arrests have been made yet, but the investigation is ongoing. Police shut down a major cannabis grow operation at the vacant factory. Members of OPP's Organized Crime Enforcement Branch, along with officers from Southern Georgian Bay Detachment Street Crime Unit, executed the search warrant as part of the Cannabis Act investigation at about 6 in the evening on Monday. So officers at that time located 10,000 growing cannabis plants. Now, I want to make a point here of pointing out, Kim, that these cannabis plants, all of them, the plants once the officers were inside, they discovered what appeared to be the professional installation of process growing over the 10,000 plants. From seedlings to flowering cannabis were the stages that they were in. So, but there doesn't appear to have been anything harvested as of yet. So when they gathered it, they just gathered all the equipment and from seed to...
Right, so some of those 10,000 plants could have been seedlings, little tiny sprouts. It doesn't necessarily mean there was 10,000, 6-foot plants in there all ready to harvest.
Exactly, and nothing had been harvested yet. Of those 10,000 plants, they range in numbers from seedling to vegetation up to flowering or potentially flowering. So those 10,000 plants are, we're not in full bloom and we're not packaged ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
So
not packaged.
according,
So we don't know who was in there, who was growing. There was nobody there when the cops entered,
no,
right?
exactly. And according to the local retailer, or realtor that was listing, the building and land was priced just under 5 million. It's an 84,000 square foot building on 6.5 acres. At one time, the black and white rectangular shaped building was home to Bruins, which was their engineered parts section, and they made aluminum products. It most recently served as a manufacturing location for EPS Solutions. And no one knows anything right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The company spokeswoman had said that they never actually owned the building, the previous owners or renters, but rather leased it. So she noticed that Amvik stopped operating in Midland more than a year ago and shifted production to its plant in Scarborough. So they have nothing to do with this operation. Whoever owns the building must have released it to somebody else, and those parties are still yet unknown.
Mm-hmm. Everything is very quiet right now. So we'll see what happens.
We'll have to
It's
wait
not
and
just
see.
happening here in my hometown, though. It's just around the corner, too, or just up the highway a bit over in Havelock.
That's right. That's down in Al Graham's neck of the woods, our station's founder. This is right around the corner from him. Pace Radio is connected by short distances to a few of these raids that have been going on. This story is coming to us from the Global News. Two are arrested after nearly 3,800 marijuana plants seized in Havelock area, according to the OPP.
So this was quite interesting. Basically, two people are facing charges after the investigation led to a seizure of nearly 3,800 cannabis plants. According to Peterborough County OPP, the Cannabis Act search warrant was executed at the rural property in the township east of Peterborough.
Wow.
Investigators seized, these guys seized 3,787 marijuana plants, a 2019 Dodge Ram pickup truck, Bobcat skid steer, almost $5,000, so $4,845 in Canadian currency, John Deere lawn tractor, utility trailer, and a debudding machine. That's a new word for the fan.
Yeah, well, a number of people were arrested in the Havelock and Aurora area, a couple of people, and both were charged with cultivating, propagating or harvesting more than 4 plants at one time in a dwelling in possession of cannabis for the purpose of distributing. They were released and are scheduled to appear in court in Peterborough at a later date.
Yes. And I see a lot of similar names, similar nationalities coming out of that area. So interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure.
Let's go to Sarnia.
Yeah, let's go to Sarnia. We're zipping right through here today. Man, we're early. Okay, that never happens to us. It's the kind of day it is with the story lineup that we've had today, it seems. So our next story, and early, before we go to the break, our last story before the break, this is coming to us from The Observer. I really like this one. Sarnia doctor wants health insurance coverage for medical cannabis use.
Right? This is really rather cool. I know he's only focusing in one area, but so be it. It's a start, right? This Sarnia Lambton doctor has been researching cannabis as a treatment for dementia, and he says he wants to see the cannabinoid therapy for people with the disease covered by public health insurance because, he says it's an injustice to him. The fact that they have to pay out of pocket for their medication. So Blake Pearson is a founder of the Greenlee Health Medical Consulting Company, and he's been prescribing cannabis for dementia patients in long-term care homes in Sarnia, Lambton, and elsewhere in the province for years.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
says,
He said the drug
and
doesn't help stall the progress of the degenerative memory robbing disease, he said, but it does help manage the symptoms such as agitation, which is often controlled instead of with antipsychotics. Pearson said those medications can come with harsh side effects. And that's for sure. We've
yes.
seen the results of those pharmaceuticals.
Oh, any pharmaceuticals that there are harsh, debilitating side effects that can be experienced from anything that is synthetic or created. When there is an alternative like cannabis, a natural substance, this needs to be considered, especially when we're talking about our elderly, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, he says, right now the cost for cannabis medicine is ranging from $80 to $180 per patient per month. I'm thinking, I don't know about you, Kim, but I'm thinking, holy shit, where are they getting their stuff from? Because that's much more affordable than what it costs me or many of the patients I know,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
That's a very low dose if that's all it's costing you.
Yeah, that's a very small amount. But still, he's saying, it's much less harmful than all these other medications, which are covered. So, and he's saying, right now it takes a really motivated family to allow their loved one to use cannabinoids just because of the expense,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
The cost is has
Uh,
to, they have to be these costs have to be absorbed by family members. We have thousands, millions even of seniors out there that don't have family members or don't have family members with means to contribute to their care. Um, there's a real issue here for this. It is a legal medicine here in Canada for over 20 years. Yet we still don't have any advancements on the medicinal cannabis front. Yet we see all of these advancements on the recreational side.
mhm. Exactly. Once again, the recreational market was opened up to fill up the government's coffers, and it was done so on the backs of the patients, on the weak and the vulnerable. And it
Exactly.
sucks.
Exactly. He says the cost savings likely needs to be demonstrated to gain approval for public health insurance. He thinks it'll be slow moving, unfortunately.
Well, it's been very slow moving to date, so I don't see it getting any quicker. I don't see the pace being picked up. Pearson is a former lead with the Erie St. Clair Local Health Integration Network, and he's working to mitigate opiate drug dependence locally. Said he's hoping to highlight the positives of cannabinoid medicine amid World Alzheimer's Month in September and the challenges facing people amid COVID-19.
Yeah.
We know that there's a problem. It's evident that there's a problem. Anybody you speak to on the street, whether it's a stranger or a neighbor, knows that there is an issue.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
to say that I don't know. I don't know. The Canadian Alzheimer's Society says cannabis research in general is promising, but that there's no evidence for its useful for treating or preventing Alzheimer's in long-term use. Kim, you know how I get irritated by these.
Yeah, the studies are there. They're just choosing to ignore them.
Right. Yes, and I don't know who I want to go and slap first.
I hear you.
I need a puff, woman.
I hear you. We're almost there. We're almost there, Irene. This is why this one came before the break, because I knew it was going to hit a nerve for both of us. For sure. I mean, we cover stories every single week about the advancements on trials, clinical trials that are going on, studies that are going on, past studies being reevaluated with a new perspective, with what we've learned about the endocannabinoid system, the plant, and the cannabinoids, terpenes, and other profiles that are in this plant and what they do for patients. I mean, a study that is accepted by the medical industry is basic down when you get down to its basics. It's a group of people that are using a same medicine to treat a same or similar condition as compared to other people using either a placebo or a different avenue. Any doctor can take the patient records that are on file in every clinic and every doctor's office across this country from patients that are using cannabinoid therapy, compile that data, and create the study.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have decades of this information at their disposal should they choose to look for it.
Well, that's it. We're asking the doctors to do more work when they're already overburdened with excess patients, numbers of patients, and the research that's coming out isn't being forcefully put on their desk or aggressively put on their desk. What is being aggressively put on their desk is the pharmaceutical trials. Well, we don't really know how this is going to work, but why don't you give it a try with your patients? And you know what the doctor says after seeing 50 patients a day, and he's complaint after complaint after complaint? The next one walks in for the 30th time that month and says, and doc, my back is still killing me. And he says, you know what? I don't know what to do with you anymore. Here, try. These just came across my desk. Try this. And do you know what that patient says? That patient grabs that and says, okay, I'll see what it does. I'll let you know. I'll keep you informed. And we run away. Instead of opening up a file, instead of taking responsibility for our own health and wellness, instead of saying, you know what, no, doc, I'm not taking any more pharmaceuticals. I would like to know how cannabis is going to work effectively for me, or how I can use cannabis, how I can consume cannabis or a more natural substance. And until the patients start standing up to their doctors and saying that, you know what, I want to know about cannabis, why should that doctor bother studying it?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the pharmaceutical companies will push back, and they also have the power of offering these doctors to come and discuss their findings in places like Barbados.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, therein lies the rub, right? Hopefully more doctors, individual doctors, will start speaking out regarding this, becoming educated on their own, like many doctors are. We still need a lot more. But doctors like this gentleman in Sarnia Lambton will push that envelope forward, hopefully, in the future.
That's right, exactly.
Absolutely. And with that, it is medication time. It is time for Irene and I to take a quick break. And in the meantime, we're going to hear from our sponsors. And then we'll be right back after that. You're listening to the Reefer Reporters here on paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Legacy science, literally. With 2 biochemists on staff and a chief scientific advisor, every product is tested in the Legacy 420 laboratory. Legacy 420, Tyendinaga. Open 9 to 9 every day. Visit legacy420.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on. with CT, CP.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
And we're back from our medication session, and you are, of course, listening to the Reefer Reporters on paceradio.net. Yep, we're live. If you miss our live broadcast, don't forget they are available as a podcast afterwards and available from download off of our website. You can listen to podcasts on apps such as Spreaker, Spotify, Castbox, SoundCloud, Google, Google+, Apple Podcasts, and oh, so many more.
Yeah, we're really out there, aren't we? We're like everywhere.
Pretty much, yep. Google Pates and you'll find us.
We need t-shirts next.
Yeah, we do. We do. We got to get some t-shirts going on for sure, for sure. Our top story after the break is one that's near and dear to our heart here at the station because it involves a friend of the show and a personal friend of most of us here at the station. This story is coming to us from the Times Colonist, and the headline reads, Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club hopes to get legal standing. Woohoo, Ted Smith.
Yeah, right. I don't want to jinx it. I've got like I'm all stiff, holding my breath, waiting to see what happens with this, because I am so excited for him, and I so hope that this turns out the way he needs it to turn out. These guys have been through an awful lot, and there's a huge show of support from the city of Victoria, and the BC government is giving members of the VCBC, that's the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club, new hope, because they might soon be able to operate legally. How fucking cool would that be, right?
It would be. I mean, Ted has operated the BC for over 20 years now. It's been in operation since 1996. After 2 raids by provincial officers in less than a year, about $60,000 in cannabis products were seized from the VCBC, and the provincial government appears to be softening the nonprofits model.
So, unlike recreational dispensaries, this is an unlicensed club, but it does require its members to provide proof of chronic conditions with a doctor's signature. And as you said, it's been operating since 1996. It sells a range of products from homemade baked goods, homemade salves, homemade capsules and gummies, and it looks after more than 8,000 clients at costs that are significantly lower than the products that can be found in the legal system. They are also higher in profiles, THC, cannabinoid profiles, terpene profiles. It's a better product for less money for patients. Period.
Absolutely. Health Canada guidelines, of course, here in Canada make edibles can edibles can only contain no more than 10 milligrams of THC per unit, with a single capsule costing up to like $5. Some people ingest more than 1,000 milligrams a day to manage their conditions. And Ted, of course, describes his customers as typically older, with multiple problems going on, using cannabis to treat these issues such as cancer, diabetes, arthritis, chronic pain, mental health problems. I mean, with the regulations on a 10 milligram cap, again, that was put forth by the Canadian government with legalization of recreational cannabis. So these profiles are being determined by the rec market, and patients have zero access to medications that actually work.
Yeah, the patients are still freaking fighting because, the rec market's getting everything it wanted and the government's getting its pockets full. So, and like Ted says here, I'm helping people who are suffering, who wouldn't know what to do if he wasn't there for them. After the province's second raid, they saw more than $50,000 in products that were seized by the CSU. That's the Community Safety Unit officers out there. These guys, I love what these guys are doing, and I hope that they succeed. Mike Farnworth, the Minister of Public Safety and the Solicitor General, he sent a letter to Victoria City Council last month saying that he had raised the issue with the federal counterpart and encouraged exploration of a license that allows the club to continue providing certain services.
That's fantastic that he's got Farnsworth standing up for him from Victoria's City Council. He's had everybody from the mayor, his local constituent's office, now the Solicitor General is backing him, and they're taking it to the province, and now they want the feds to chime in. They said, listen, these guys need some sort of an exemption.
Right. And they need an exemption too, so that they can continue to operate without worrying about future raids, right?
From the Community Safety Unit. I mean, the oxymoron of all police detachments is the Community Safety Unit. They're not providing safety in any way, shape, or form. Smith said the Farnsworth letter stopped short of outright condoning the club, but it was far more supportive than the province has been in the past. Before the second raid in mid-July, the province also encouraged the club to contact Health Canada, but indicated then that they had no interest in advocating on the club's behalf. So that's changed. So that's a good thing.
Thankfully. Now I wonder what Ted, he's put blood, sweat, and tears into this, right? He took it as a sign that the province is going to hold off on action while the club reached out to the federal regulator until the provincial officers took him by surprise. So they basically said, okay, go do this. And so he thinks, okay, well, they're going to leave the store alone and I'll go take care of that. And what do? They raid the store.
Yeah, of course. And the province saying, well, it wasn't us, but, right, you're the ones that operate the Community Safety Unit. They take their directive from you. So apparently it was them. So Ted is encouraged. Yeah, Ted's encouraged for sure.
There's two levels of government now supporting him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So he's preparing a package of information and letters of support that he's collected from throughout the community as well as his members, including the Farnsworth letter from the city and from other nonprofits around. And he's preparing them for Health Canada and plans to send them at the end of the month.
Very cool. Council unanimously passed a motion this month that would have the mayor write to Health Canada indicating the city's support for finding a way for the club to operate legally. And that letter is currently being drafted. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got all levels of government within BC supporting him, right up to the province itself. So now it lies in the hands of the feds. And a spokesman person for Health Canada said the Federal Regulatory Commission may authorize an exemption from the Cannabis Act in rare and exceptional circumstances if the exemption is necessary for medical or scientific purposes or is otherwise in the public interest. Exemption applications are assessed on a case-by-case basis.
Wow. Okay.
So there's
Fingers
hope.
crossed, Ted. Yeah.
Yeah, there's hope here. I mean, he's got his community, he's got his jurisdiction, and he's got his province backing him. Now it's up to the feds.
Yep. Yep, it really is. You know, we don't want to get overly excited because these poor bastards have been go, smash.
Yeah.
Go, smash, right?
Yeah.
So here's hoping, just keep going, just keep swimming. I feel like Dora.
Yeah, just keep swimming forward, for sure.
Yeah.
From there, we're going to go international. Time to jump on the jet and take a ride across the planet. We're going to talk a little bit about CTV news story coming at us from New Zealand. Jacinta Ardern admits to past cannabis use during the New Zealand election debate.
Sorry. Why? Shit, really? And here's what I don't understand. She actually says, right, so during a debate with the rival in New Zealand, during the election campaign, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern admits to smoking cannabis. When she was pressed by the moderator of the live national election debate on Wednesday, the Labour Party leader said she had tried cannabis a long time ago in her youth. And she says she had previously deferred on the topic, saying, well, I was once a Mormon, and then I wasn't. That's how I'll put that. What the fuck does that mean,
Kim? She was raised a Mormon. She became a teenager and she went to rebel. I would assume that's what that means. It's just, I mean, it's hilarious that this is still coming up in election debates across the planet. Oh my goodness, have you smoked cannabis? Are you going to admit that? This is what's in the headlines in New Zealand with legalization on the forefront. I mean, it's hilarious to us, but we've seen this here in Canada. We've seen it in the United States, and now it's migrated overseas and it's come to the election forefront in New Zealand. Ardern said that she will only reveal which way she intends to vote on the cannabis referendum after the October 17th election. I made a clear decision that I want the public of New Zealand to decide this, and I want this not to be about politics, she said during the debate.
Okay, again, I'm really confused. How is it not about fucking politics? What you mean is you don't want it to be personal, right?
Yeah. She worded that wrong. That's for sure. That's for sure. Talk about all over the map. It's really
I thought
funny.
Trudeau was nasty. Like, I thought Trudeau was, oh God, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad not to be a New Zealander right now. So her opponent, the National Party leader, Judith Collins, says she and all of her caucus have committed to vote against legalization of cannabis. And at this point in time, that's the only thing I have against Collins.
Yeah, exactly. She's obviously not listening to the people in her country if she's still taking a hard stand on that. And that could be enough to lose her the election. Wednesday's event was the second of 4 national debates leading to the New Zealand election. Ardern is seen as likely to win a second term following her administration's success at battling the current epidemic. Yeah, so Ardern, she's a likely shoe-in, but she's not saying one way or another how she's going to swing with the cannabis vote in New Zealand, but you can rest assured she is owning up to using.
She doesn't want to get hung or heroed. What she's doing is keeping her mouth shut and letting everybody figure it out for themselves, and no, you guys aren't going to make this about me.
She's being a politician. She's being a politician. Yeah, absolutely. Our next story is hilarious and has a tie to our following story after that. This next one, I love it. The growth op. We're going to go to Vietnam for a minute and see what's going on down there. Vietnamese farmer believed in healing powers of cannabis so much that he was growing 300 plants as feed for his chickens.
Well, I didn't catch chicken scratch, is it? All right.
I love the picture. It's a chicken with a doobie in his mouth.
It's fucking priceless. It's priceless. But here, you know what? I'm going to summarize this very quickly and then we'll go into the details. But basically, this farmer said, and this is his defense, because keep in mind that in most Asian countries, and Vietnam is no exception, the penalty for possessing, using, sharing, or cultivating cannabis in any way, shape, or form is the penalty is huge. The penalty is fucking huge. So this guy's saying that he was growing it as chicken feed. Chicken feed's been an issue. Now, I love the idea of growing it for chicken feed for a whole lot of reasons, amongst other things, the health reasons. We are what we eat, right? So if our food is eating properly, then so are we. So this story goes, a Vietnamese farmer's explanation that he was growing 300 plants was feed for his chickens. They wouldn't get sick. And that's what he's trying to convince authorities of.
Yeah, located in the middle of a farmer's orange grove, 304 carefully tended cannabis plants were found last Friday by police in the Mekong Delta region, according to the Star, citing the state media. 42-year-old farmer told police that he bought the seeds 2 months before from a friend, and he was using the now grown plants some meters tall to feed his chickens to prevent them from becoming ill. There was no other reason for having cannabis on his farm, he argued.
So, the Vietnam Insider reports that the plants weighed approximately 60 grams, were in plastic pots, and protected by fencing. Police seized the plants and are expanding their investigation, the publication reports.
All the investigation's ongoing. With regard to the Vietnamese farmer's argument, though, cannabis is currently being researched as a potential treatment for conditions in animals. For example, at a Warsaw zoo, recently announced it would use CBD to help ease the depression and anxiety of a young elephant. We reported on that story when it happened. The elephant is suffering from trauma from deaths of her family members. So this is for the elephant's psychological profile.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got merit.
Absolutely. There's definite merit to this, to his defense, for sure. As for using weed as feed, even the U.S. Department of Agriculture is funding research to explore if hemp, which includes very small amounts of THC, would be safe for cows and not produce milk that would get consumers high. Which is kind of a fucking stupid study when you think about it, because we were already feeding it to our cows and our pigs 100 years ago, and that's why many of the population did not suffer from an endocannabinoid deficiency condition, right?
Exactly.
AKA autoimmune deficiency.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was part of our diet for, as you say, hundreds of years, up until about 80 years ago. Farmers across the globe regularly included hemp and cannabis plants was part of the feed for every farmed animal we have. It's not new. It seems to me that 80 years of prohibition are dictating everything we do here. We're not looking at what we did prior to that prohibition. And that's baffling to me, considering that the reasons we had prohibition in the first place. And those reasons are widely known now. I mean, it was about destroying the hemp industry, and it was for money, and it was for profit. It wasn't science-based. And that's widely accepted at this point in time. So why are we still looking at this from a prohibitionary stand?
Right. Yeah, no, agreed. And that's just it. We've got to stop looking at this with goofy idolizing eyes on our government. Yeah, they took it out of our food source. 40 years ago, the increase in autoimmune deficiency conditions
Exactly.
just escalated at unbelievable rates. And it had been out of our diet genetically for what, 40 years at that point? And then all these conditions show up. Cannabis starts going back into our diet, and these conditions start going down. Imagine that.
Yeah, our endocannabinoid system is being fed through the food that we eat, which eats the cannabis. We're feeding it.
What we eat.
Exactly. We're feeding our systems with the nutrients we're supposed to have, just like we're supposed to have the vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and all of the rest of the nutrients that are in there in our regular diets. Cannabis is supposed to be there. So, I mean, this is kind of cool that it reached Vietnam, and I hope this Vietnamese fellow doesn't pay the penalty too harshly, as we've seen what happens in Asia for his efforts, for sure. Our next story kind of ties into this. We're going to stay on the feed line, coming to us from Hemp Industry Daily. The Ecuador eyes as a whole. Ecuador eyes hemp grain to replace corn in feed for shrimp.
Yeah, okay. So I really had to, this was one of those lines and stories, and I actually read this story twice because it's like, okay, did I actually understand? Am I reading this properly, right? Okay, so basically what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, basically what they're saying is corn prices are so high, we're going to just replace the corn for our grain as hemp. So now instead of corn, we do hemp, period.
Yep. Yeah, okay. And they use it for their feed. They grind it down for their feed, for their livestock feed, as well as for ocean life feed. Now, of course, Ecuador is in the tropics, so there's a large supply of these ocean products that were received to market throughout the globe. So instead of mixing corn into the feed to feed their farmed shrimp, which they then harvest and put into the food sources that we experience around the world, they're going to replace corn with hemp.
Cool. That's that's just really cool. In 2019, Ecuador became the top shrimp exporter. It had 56% of exports going to China, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization. And Ecuador produces 600,000 tons of shrimp. That was just in 2019. So okay, cool. So I can see how this would get very expensive for them, and they're going to do the hemp instead. So the U.S. and other countries see CBD as the biggest moneymaker now. Ecuador is looking at the industrial hemp as having better economic benefit in the long run. Very cool.
Yeah, for agriculture. Cool. They're looking at it as the agricultural crop so that they can feed farm animals with it. So as we said in the past story, cannabis, we used to get cannabinoids in our diet through our food sources. Ecuador is making that happen again.
Well. So like other equatorial countries, Ecuador is faced with the challenge, though, of finding industrial hemp cultivars that can thrive in a year-long 12-hour daylight cycle. That's an awful lot to expect or need from that plant, right?
It is. But, that kind of brings us to our show last night with Sasha Pristek, the creator of Autoflower Genetics. And he's a generational hemp farmer. From Poland, his family is from. And we had a discussion about the plants last night and how diverse they are. It may be tough going to find it, but I think it can be done. I mean, these plants are resilient and they thrive in areas where you wouldn't think a plant would survive. And they're adaptable. I mean, you can
Mm-hmm.
change a large, a regular grown female plant, and you can stunt it, and you can turn it into a bonsai.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so I mean, you can do a lot with these plants, and they will thrive.
They will. A weed is a weed is a weed.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it'll probably take some doing, but I'm sure that
Sure.
geneticists out there and biologists will come up with a strain that can thrive in this kind of a climate for sure. I'm really encouraged by all of this. You know, taking the sugar cane out of food sources, which is increasing our sugar levels and our glycerin levels in our blood, and replacing it with hemp, replacing corn with hemp. I mean, it's like we're going back in time where we should be.
Yes. Now, some would ask, is it too late to do that? Others would say, should we be replacing it? I mean, didn't we already learn the mistake of replacing one for the other? And perhaps it's about crowding out some of the negative, like you say, the sugar cane, which is just destroying Western people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know that we're taking it out as we're going back to the way it should have been. We took it out to start with,
right?
So yeah, we took it out to start with, and we replaced it with corn, and we replaced it with sugarcane, and I think that was the mistake. So by going backwards, I think we're fixing our mistake.
I think you're right. Yes, I follow that same train of thought for sure. So the Ecuador is basically looking at focusing on grain at this point for shrimp, and it doesn't mean that the country is ignoring the CBD craze in the U.S., but Luck said that there's a lot of market risk, a lot of competition in CBD, and the government would rather leave that area to private investors.
Yeah.
He says, ultimately, he says, sincerely for us at the ministry, industrial hemp is the horse we're betting on long term.
And that's a great horse to bet on, I think.
I think so too. I really do. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So great news out of Ecuador.
Yes.
Absolutely. And our final story of the day. We're back on the jet once again. We're going to fly on over to Lebanon. The story is coming to us from the Los Angeles Times. Lebanon's economy is going to pot in a good way, it hopes.
Okay, so basically, I'm halfway through the story here, sorry. I'm all the way through the story.
Oh,
in
it's
its
not all
desperate
good.
attempt, its desperate attempt to get economically back up on its feet, it's taking advantage of what is the most famous export, and that's Lebanese hash.
Absolutely. Woohoo. My favorite thing of all to consume is red leb. Anybody that knows me knows I love my red leb, and it's really tough to get your hands on real red leb these days. So, I mean, this is encouraging for sure. Tiny Mediterranean country of about 6.8 million people is responsible for 6% of the global cannabis supply, making it the world's third largest exporter of the stuff, according to a report last year by the UN's Office of Drugs and Crime. This despite the fact that cannabis had until recently been illegal there.
6.8 million people, and they're responsible for 6%.
6%. Yeah. Yeah.
Of the global cannabis supply.
That's just slightly larger than the city of Toronto.
Yeah.
And they've got 6% of the global economy on exports. Absolutely. Lebanon prohibited cannabis for a time in their history. But prior to that, they were known throughout the world for their hash. While prohibition was enacted in Lebanon, they really seen a hard hit to their economic force across the globe as well as right at home. People were having a hard time making ends meet. The economy simply crashed. So the people are done. And they said, you know what? We grow good pot. We know how to make hash. We're going to make hash.
They said, that's it. That's all. We're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah, basically the village of Yamane, I think I pronounced that correct, is one of the focal points of the plan. It unfurls around a placid lake, which perfectly reflects the landscape of a tree-studded mountains and green fields. As you enter Yamane, graffiti meets you on a nearby shack calling for America's death, pledging fealty to the resistance, which is a reference to the Hezbollah, the Iran-backed Shiite armed faction and political party, which dominates the northeastern village of some 5,000 people, as well as much of Lebanon's eastern regions.
Yeah. Lebanon is, they're politically explosive, absolutely. The fight with the U.S. and the fight with Western society and everything else comes into play, of course. They've been screaming at the government for years to just get out of their way and let them do what they know how to do, and that's grow cannabis and make hash. Given that they do export 6% of the global product that we have circulating on this planet, the government should probably listen to them.
Yeah, you think?
Absolutely. So, as an overview, go Lebanese. Please start back making and production of your wonderful hashish products for export across the world. I would love to see an increase on that front for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
But here's what they say. Right now, you have two brothers. One is Hezbollah plants. One in Hezbollah plants apples, and the other one plants cannabis. It's really a matter of beliefs.
Yep. So government needs to get out of their way and let them do the thing. Half the people will plant apples, the other half will plant cannabis, and we can all roll happily along.
Roll your own. Oh, Lordy. All right.
Well, that was our final story for the day, and that is our Reefer Report for today, October the 1st in 2020, from the Legacy420.com news desk. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for listening to our Reefer Report here at paceradio.net. If you enjoyed it, please share it with those you love, and even those you don't. We'll bark at you later.
Ciao for now.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Legacy 420 has medicinal and recreational products down to a science, literally. With 2 biochemists on staff and a chief scientific advisor, every product is tested in the Legacy 420 laboratory. Legacy 420, Tyndonega. Open 9 to 9 every day. Visit legacy420.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888. 8, and grow on with CTCP.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Do you want to hear what patients and cannabis advocates have to say? If so, then catch the Pace Radio Show Wednesday nights here on paceradio.net.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.